Hello, everyone. Good morning. I just made it in. I made it. Only 3 minutes late. This is amazing because I was in Göttingen and most of the time I'm here. I work from home. I get the kids ready. I do stuff here, but I had to go into Göttingen to get a new residency card for Germany, and I did it. And at 9:20, I was still sitting in the waiting room, waiting to get my stuff back, and like, oh, I think I'm going to be late. And here we are. Thank you for joining me. We're going to do a 10-minute portrait. This is a reference that we've worked from in the past. Where are we? Here. Peter Salmi, son of Romano, who was one of the brilliant members of the Kenyo community, one of the organizers of the show in London, and we sketched him a few months ago, so you may have also you may recognize this reference, but I hadn't sorted out any new reference, and on the way home I was riding the bike thinking, who are we going to draw? And we're going to draw Peter. So it's cold outside. I still have a scarf on. It's freezing, glittering in the morning sun, and here we are, ready to draw together. Hello, Linda. Hello, everyone. Connie, Maya, Monica, Annette, Elizabeth, Lewis, Mirta, you're here for the live. That's great. I appreciate you often commenting on the replays, and so nice to have you here live today. So this is a 10-minute portrait of Peter. And I thought this was fitting to the idea of darkness, as I've kind of been working the last few days because we have pretty dark values. Of course, there's some really bright stuff going on here as well, but this would be really fitting to the way I've been working recently. Just get some pencils. I'm still in this graphite spread. The last spread of the sketchbook is on the other side of this page, and I'll finish it with ink. And I will have filled this book in the past year. And most of the drawings in here have been done during live streams, so you may be familiar with them. All right, I'm going to put the timer on, but my battery's nearly flat. We'll see how we go. 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes again. All right, 5 minutes. Someone wrote to me for the participants of my workshop on the weekend. I sent out an email saying, here's the replay, watch it and draw along. And I apparently sent the link to the page for the week before's workshop. So I'll send it out again. But for those of you who have been participating in the workshops, if you head back to the overview of each of the weeks that I sent out the first couple of weeks, you'll be able to navigate to the darkness workshop replay. But yeah, I'll send that link out again. Nothing's automated in my world, and I just gotta do it all by hand, and I make mistakes. So thank you for letting me know when I make mistakes so I can correct them. Okay. What's up? What is up? What's happening? How is everyone? So I really like the version of this I did a few months back. And it also begun as a 10-minute portrait, and then I spent a bunch more minutes on it. And I also spent some more time on yesterday's. So sometimes it's interesting. It was an interesting suggestion from Kiki. It suggested that I often end, or like 10 minutes in, I'll be like, okay, that's it. And then sometimes I'll just like, oh, wait a minute, it's almost it. And I'll just add a little bit. I just saw a love heart floating up there. Thank you. And sometimes, oh, there was another one. The corner of my eye, love hearts. This idea of how do you know, like, if you're 10 minutes in and you've done a quick sketch, how to choose which things can make the difference and really feel like bring to a level of finish, because sometimes it can just be like just tweaking the contrast a little bit, or a few lines that can make such a big difference. So that's an interesting topic. In my Patreon, which you're all welcome to join, I do monthly tutorials, and I put out a request saying, what would you like to learn next year? So I'm putting together a roadmap for 2026 of the topics I would like to be covering. And that was a suggestion from Kiki, was this idea of how to take something to finish when you feel like it's almost like it has potential, and it just needs a little bit more, like how to discern what those things are, which is an interesting and challenging kind of topic. And I think it's a really interesting suggestion, because yesterday's I did the 10-minute sketch, and then throughout the day I was like, I want to do a bit more. So I did a bit more. I'll show it to you after this, just to see like where it can go. Because sometimes just that very quick beginning has some cool kind of energy and life to it, but then you can just sometimes add a little bit, push it a little bit further, and it doesn't have to be too much. Sometimes it feels like just like if you're doing this kind of quick sketch, that you can lay down a lot of foundations in a very brief time frame, and something of the dynamic feeling of just doing something quick. How do you take that and just kind of polish it a little bit so it still stays this brief, lively thing, but something going on here. I've expanded this a bit much. Linda said something. Sometimes when I cannot discern how to get to an end, I just abandon those words. Mirta X, you work in a nursing home, so the live stream, take on replay, yeah. So shift work, I imagine. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for caring, contributing to the care in whatever role that you have. I wonder what everyone does. If you feel like saying, if you have something that you do or have done in the past or aspire to do, I've like dropped the jaw real far. Okay, that was the beginning. Do I keep going with that big jaw, or try and change course, adjust, so that we're halfway? Maybe that's enough. Okay, so now I'm like halfway. I still want to get some more value. I want to push into this idea of darker values. So free today and happy to be here. It's been a pleasure having you join from the other side of the world. That is something which I appreciate a lot about this. I'm so glad to be able to draw with and to connect to people all over the world, doing all sorts of things, and it's really cool to be able to practice together in this way. My mum worked in a nursing home, I remember. She was a nurse and was at home for years with us, and then also worked in a nursing home when I was a teenager. So one of the things that I adjusted when I kept working on yesterday's was to like push the outline to really try and get some clear contrast and kind of strengthen that line a bit, because that's something like this, working onto this grey space and then just adding a bit more grey to it. I have found that it really needs some bold mark making and really a generous application of graphite to really push the values so that there's something to see. Because often in line drawing on white paper, I'm just relying upon the contrast of the line work and the paper. And then a very simple line drawing can have a very bold kind of effect because of that immediate high contrast of marks on white paper. So when the contrast is not as high, then you really got to like find ways to emphasize particular things so there's still a strong sense of the drawing in certain aspects. It doesn't all have to be equally like the same value, but some way to create some focus within the darkness. I think that's an interesting challenge that I've been getting out of this practice. As when everything is kind of flattened value-wise and all kind of dark, how do we find a clear expression of the drawing within that? That's a interesting thing to be working with. This is an 8B pencil, by the way, that I'm working on top of this with. So that's helpful if you use a darker color on top of your dark color. And I think the base layer is like maybe 3 or 4B. It's rewarding work. I've been working almost 20 years and seeing forward to work more with art afterwards. That sounds wonderful. Yeah, it's such a important and special work. Anyone doing any kind of care work, so many different ways. All right, that was 10 minutes. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm still just like coming down from the ride. I really like powered on the bike to get here, and yeah, I was kind of amazed that it's possible to be in the city and then 40 minutes later to be here live streaming. So that worked out. All right, thanks Peter, who I just spontaneously grabbed for this. So he doesn't know we're drawing him, but please do tag him. Peter is an amazing person, great painter, and dear friend. So thanks a lot, Pete. And that's it for today. And yeah, as I mentioned, if there are things that you would like to learn from me or particular challenges that you have and you're like, oh, it'd be really interesting to see how we could address that together on my Patreon, and there's a link in the description. I would love you to join my Patreon if you want to. I have a couple posts back. I asked people for their input on my roadmap for 2026, and that's also going to influence the topics that I address in live streams, and each month I make a tutorial based on my topic of the month. So this month has actually been simplification. Like I've been looking at line and shadow and darkness, and in this brief time frame, always with the with this idea of simplification. How can we convey something in a simplified, brief kind of manner? And yeah, it's really interesting just to have a certain focus, to be like, okay, this is what I'm working on this week, or this is what I'm working on this month. And if there's something in particular you would like to learn from me, then head on over to my Patreon, or something you'd just like to give some input, or if there's something you have loved this year, which you feel would warrant further exploration next year, you can join the conversation and contribute, comment on that post. And I'm in the process at the moment of articulating my topics and plan for what I'll be working through next year. So that's what I actually have done this year. In January, I wrote this roadmap for the year, and I'm like, okay, it's going to be about continuous line, pure line, shadow, value shapes, hands. Like, I just picked a bunch of topics which I think are really interesting. Watercolor sketching was one, and that's what we've been doing. Good night, Linda. Have a wonderful sleep. I've finished. I will just show you the drawing of Eric from yesterday. So I did continue working on this one, spend a bit more time, and I made a post on Instagram. You can see the difference between the 10-minute and the more minute version. Yeah, so that's what's been going on. And thank you for those drawing hand emojis in the chat that I'm already seeing. That's always nice to see. If you've made it this far, made it to the end, then please put a drawing hand in here. And thank you. Mirta Egg says, thank you for making me accountable. You're very welcome. I think it's great to be able to be like, oh, there's this practice, there's this daily practice. I was talking about it with Kira yesterday. Just like, it must be really good for you just to be doing it every day and have this thing to do. And there's also, even though it's just little icons and names and a little bit of chat, I enjoy the social exchange with you and really appreciate having you here. So thank you so much. If you're going to be around at 7:30 p.m. German time today, which is quite a few hours from now, my Zoom sketch session is happening every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. German time. So if you have a time, come sketch with us live, drawing each other and hanging out and chatting. It's always lots of fun. Otherwise, I wish you well, much rest and love, and take care of each other, take care of yourself, and I'll see you tomorrow in the chat.